is being recorded. Today, we're going to discuss with you how one pharmacy used Pharmacy Marketplace to recover $50,000 in profit without changing wholesalers, without cutting staff. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Introductions first. I'm Nicolette. I'll be your moderator today. With me, I have Wade, who is Pharmacy Marketplace's founder and CEO, and also Chris Ray, who has been in the business for over 15 years and has quite a few pharmacy visits under his belt. Maybe some of you on this call have met Chris, but I'll let Wade introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is Wade Hinkle, CEO of Pharmacy Marketplace. I've basically been in pharmacy my entire life since a baby. My dad was an independent pharmacy owner, and so I've done everything from being a baby in the store to being a cashier to being a technician to becoming a manager to becoming an owner and now helping other pharmacies with all the different struggles that we were facing on a day-to-day basis. I probably have 1,000 spreadsheets that I've went through as far as trying to help out our store, anything from staffing to sourcing to, we got down to how many seconds we were taking to fill each prescription, super analytical type people, just trying to figure out how to save as much money as possible. And we spent way too much time doing that sort of thing. And it was really irritating because we recognized that we were spending so much time on the business that we were really taking away from the patients. We were not communicating with the patients the way that we should. We were just stuck in spreadsheets trying to figure out how we could squeeze every penny that we could possibly out of it. And this really led us into building Pharmacy Marketplace, is because we were like, there's a better way. There's a better way for us to be able to operate. There are definitely dollars there that we can make, but how do we do that without spending all of our time on it so that we can actually get back to what matters?
Hello, everybody. My name's Chris Ray, and I was a weird teenager. And I know all you guys think all teenagers are weird, but stay with me. So, where other kids had fast food jobs and pizza routes or paper routes, whatever, I worked in a nursing home, and that really led me into really, finding ways to feel good about helping people. And it really kind of designed my pathway in healthcare and my career. And I really, found my place about 15 years ago when I started working with community pharmacy and just felt the same pure interaction that the drugstores had with their customers that I did with my nursing home residents and their families. And, there's not really a Guinness Book of World Record for this, but if there was, I probably would have it. I've been probably in about 2,500 of our community independent pharmacies just on my travels, just really, understanding what owners are dealing with and finding best practices and patterns and essentially just trying to get ideas on how to help.
All right, everybody on the call, take a moment, think about the perfect pharmacy. You imagine you walk in the morning, you're set up, you're ready to go, you're ready to open the door and start helping patients. What does that look like to you? And what can you do with all of your extra free time? Can you get engaged with the community? Can you organize your shelves? Can you clean your pharmacy? Can you start flu vaccine clinics? Can you start a website if you don't already have one? Marketing strategies, LinkedIn pages, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. The possibilities are endless when you actually free up your time from purchasing and juggling all those different secondaries and can put it back in your pharmacy and in your community. So today on this webinar, we're going to teach you guys how to streamline your pharmacy's purchasing using technology without cutting staff and optimizing your drug sourcing to add gross profit back to your bottom line. Wade, tell us about how Pharmacy Marketplace started and kind of the origin story.
Yeah, so my dad actually started the store in 1986. I graduated in 2011, and I'm an Auburn grad. And so my brother actually called me my senior year and said, "Hey, I just figured out how to save the store $50,000, which $1,000 was the most money in the world to me at that point. So 50,000 was like hitting the lottery." And I was like, "Well, how did you do that?" And what he did was he installed a perpetual inventory system. And so doing this process, I was coming out of finance of Auburn. I was very heavily mathematically inclined as far as from an investment perspective. and trying to figure out, how do we utilize capital to yield the biggest results for the pharmacy. We came out seeing that we could provide the service for other pharmacies. It was actually not even our idea. Our McKesson rep came in at the time and said, "You guys really need to go do this for other stores because nobody's doing anything like this." And so that company is called Inventory IQ. We basically go into all these different pharmacies. We install perpetual inventory systems. We identify all the overstock and say, send this back to the wholesaler, or maybe this is a product you can sell to a pharmacy down the street, or maybe this is, expired goods that we can send back to the reverse distributor. And basically, we were able to yield about $60,000 in capital per pharmacy that we did that for. And during that process, I was able to take over the pharmacy. My brother really showed me how to do this. He'd been doing it for a while, and he showed me how to manage the store, all the day-to-day as far as all the billing, the payroll, really digging into how much staff that we need, sourcing, et cetera. But the more that we learned, we got exposed to all the different pharmacy management systems, all the different wholesalers, and we were really trying to figure out, what makes the most sense for our store. Should we be compliant? Should we be non-compliant? Should we go all secondary? Should we not? We were really trying to answer that question, and we figured out mathematically, which is very difficult to do, what was the best course for our pharmacy. And we ended up and bought the store for my dad in 2018. And now we've been operating we operated it for about 6 years under our ownership. We unfortunately had to sell to be able to do this product. We could basically just see too much information. And they were like, "Hey, if you guys want to do pharmacy marketplace, you can't own a store at the same time." So because we could just see everybody's contracts and whatnot. And so our purpose is really to show you how to maximize your pharmacy's ROI, how to maximize your profitability for whatever situation that you're in. And that's where we're at. During this, shrinking profit margins. So that's something ever since I've been in the industry. This is technically my 19th year. I started working at the store when I was 17. I've been in it since I was a baby, but that really doesn't count. And I went to school at Auburn for about 4 years. So I really have only been in the store for about 15 years. Profit margins have been shrinking ever since I've been in it. Really thought that would reverse at some point, but it just hasn't. And so that's always been a problem. That's one reason I have over 1,000 spreadsheets that I work on. But the uncertainty about drug sourcing and contracts, that is a huge issue, because a lot of people will look at, okay, well, I can save $50 on this one particular item, but they're not thinking about the aggregate of how that it will affect their primary vendor agreement. I see this time and time again where you're chasing $50 or $500, but it's going to cost you $5,000 because you fell over one of these rebate cliffs, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And then which items are on, they have a rebate attached to them, which ones don't. So knowing which one has the actual contract. But then in addition to that, you have your pharmacy management systems. The way they do their automated purchasing is just, every one of them is antiquated because it's based off of GCNs. And so we had to go in and really change that and create our own index that we call Athena. Athena will look at which items are actually purchasing equivalent to one another, and makes it much easier for you to figure out which items really need to be compared to each other. And so we've streamlined that entire process. And then on top of that is your staffing, right? Because you can put these procedures in place, but staffing has been a problem, especially since COVID. Staffing has become a nightmare. It's always been a problem, but it's really become a problem now because everybody wants more for less. And then you obviously have all the insurance issues. So the PBMs have been absolutely killing us for the past, really forever, especially the past 20 years. But I will say, I'm actually very optimistic over the past year, let's say 12 to 18 months. There have been a lot of advancements from a legislative side. And we're not going to talk about this today, but we do have a MAC appeal tool where we're basically taking negative margins, flipping them into positives that I think that everyone's going to be really interested in. This is going to change everything to where you're actually welcoming negative margins, because you can actually go and get paid a positive result for these margins, any of these type of prescriptions. And so that's something that we'll talk about here. We may give a little bit of a teaser to that, but it's basically something where we can actually turn the tide on this and make this a positive for everybody. So Well, again, another webinar, but it's coming.
So essentially,
Wade wasn't the only one seeing those struggles. Chris and all of his 2,500 pharmacy visits, he saw it too.
yeah, essentially Wade was not isolated. I was working for one of the primary wholesalers and visiting drugstores, and it was a consistent pattern of being frustrated, of not really understanding how this all works. Um, when to order from me in the primary, when to order from the secondary. There was just a huge gap in terms of people's ability to track this. So when Wade approached me, I used Wade in the inventory IQ company to help my drugstores manage cash flow when I thought they had too much inventory in stock. And it was just a relief to find, someone that was young and had some technology knowledge and really would do what he would say he was going to do in this industry that's, sometimes few and far between, as you guys know. So we really kind of buddied up, and he approached me and said, "Hey, is there an opportunity to do something like this?" And I said, "Definitely. This is a common frustration, but you have to do it right." And that's it. That's it. There is opportunity, guys, in terms of finding the best course of action for gross profit and drug sourcing. But really, there's so many pitfalls that you have to realize, and you just really have to be wise and smart about it. So there's just common things that when I was working with the pharmacies that I saw from a psychological perspective of store owners and staff, where they would find usually how it'd work is they would have some type of process like Wade with thousands of spreadsheets and whiteboards, and they would get it all out and show me how convoluted it was, and we would try to track it together. But really, when it came down to it, a lot of the stores would think very black and white in how they would do their purchasing. They'd give their primary shot and really not understand the incentives and rewards around the rebate system, and get frustrated enough to say screw it all and go rogue on the primary and go completely to the secondary market. They would chase deals. They'd see a underwater claim in their pharmacy management system, say, well, there has to be a item out there that I can find where this is not a negative margin, and spend hours and hours on the phone or on different platforms looking for those items. And they really didn't realize like how this all impacted the aggregate of their cost of goods. And they would miss out on rebates and be frustrated with me and my company. And ultimately, it would create cash flow crunches and sometimes too late to be able to resolve. And to be honest, guys, we're not the only software company that is trying to help identify opportunities around gross profit and cost of goods, but we are doing it in a different way and looking at it in a balanced approach where the complete supply chain, direct supply chain is taken into consideration. So where the other softwares, a lot of the other ones, they miss the picture is they push too many secondary options out to you, and it really convolutes the process. You're bidding on items, you're having a hard time meeting certain minimums. It's really just creating more cumbersome and frustration. And essentially, by doing what they're doing and you secondary shopping too much, you're putting valuable money at risk where you're chasing deals, but then it's creating the adverse effect where now you're losing money, and you and your staff really don't know at what point that happens. And that's really where the challenge and the solution occurs.
It's a game, right, Chris? It's a
Yeah.
game. You got to know the rules. You got to know the rules of the game.
And that's it, guys. It's really about finding the balance and finding the sweet spot. Really, these are the factors that it comes into play when you're dealing with your pharmacy's inventory. So you're wanting to find the most competitive price, right? You're in business to make margin, and you're wanting, to maximize gross profit so you have a healthy business. But you're also trying to maintain that compliance with your primary wholesaler and get those rebates, have access to different product like brand and controls. If you're a traditional drugstore, you're going to need access to a full catalog of product, and not all these secondary suppliers will have options for you. So maintaining that relationship is important for our drugstores. Really, looking at the inventory levels and buying items that you're actually dispensing every month and maintaining a good inventory level where, a lot of drugstores are chasing like, hey, that's a great price, but not knowing that that's going to sit on your shelf for about a year, and ultimately your money's going to be tied up on inventory that's not moving. So what we're trying to do from a technology perspective is maintain that balance and find that sweet spot for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at controls in general, right, you're having to deal with, if you buy controls from your primary, they're going to you have to buy a certain amount from them. If you all of a sudden start shifting that to the secondary, well, guess what? The secondary is going to do the same thing. You want to buy those same controls, you're going to buy X amount from us. So it's a game either way. You just need to know the rules of the game in order to play it correctly to your actual advantage. And one thing that I really got exposed to, because I've used these other purchasing platforms, especially in the early days of trying to streamline the store. We were trying to figure out should we just register for all these different wholesalers and have our access spread out to everybody? That creates its own problems. One thing that really irritated me was having to register for all the different wholesalers. Now, it took me an entire day to register for about 20 of them. And I was just typing in the same information over and over and over again. And so we decided to automate that process from the very beginning. So we will send you basically one questionnaire, you'll fill it out, and we'll actually produce in an automated fashion all the documentation for you to register for these wholesalers in one click. So if you know your information, you can register for this platform in 15, 20 minutes. So that was one thing that just irritated me that we went ahead and took care of at the very beginning. But on top of that, no matter if I go look at a price of something, I'm having to go and look at how much am I dispensing of this item? What is my rebate for my primary? What is something that is purchasing equivalent from the secondaries? Logging in all these different websites. You don't have to do that at all anymore. The shopping process takes forever to be able to figure out where you need to order an item from. So we have a reactive AI module that we call Athena. What she does is she does billions of calculations per day because she's having to look at everything you dispense, aggregate them all together, and do that across every drug that you've ever dispensed. On top of that, do all the cross comparisons of who you should be ordering that product for and factoring a rebate at the same time. So she's looking at 200,000 different NDCs on a daily basis, running billions of calculations. So you would have to have a small army of technicians to do what she does in fractions of a second. And while we were doing that, we're trying to find, what is the best purchasing item for what you're actually dispensing. So instead of you having to shop and figure out, where you need to order something from, she'll put it for you in a really nice digestible format. So you can see, okay, I can order this product from X, whatever supplier it is, and it's going to yield me X amount of dollars. So it makes it way easier for you to be able to shop. You essentially don't have to shop. It's done for you. It's put right in front of you. So your shopping list is essentially just put right there. So we can go and do our secondary purchasing for the entire month in 5 minutes. And that was our goal because we were spending so much time actually trying to shop from, all these different suppliers. And it was taking us hours per day, which was great because we were yielding absolutely returns, measurable returns, but it was taking us a tremendous amount of time. So with Pharmacy Marketplace, we were able to cut that down to the fractions of seconds versus us doing it for hours on end. And then on top of that, you need to be able to monitor your real-time net price comparisons. So the sourcing contracts of what's on contract, what's not, it changes every single day. So you've got the prices are shifting around. You need to have the real-time components as far as the catalogs and the pricing, the availability, all of that in one centralized location. So you're not having to have 15 tabs open, logging in each different one to figure out, okay, this is where I need to order the product from. And then you're cutting down on your time, right? Exactly what I was just talking about is you're not having to log in all these different websites. You log into one and it will tell you, okay, from all these different suppliers, this is the one that you actually need to pick from that's going to yield you the highest return. So you can make that decision like that versus you having to research everything.
Yeah, like Wade said, applying to shop with all those different suppliers is often what takes the longest. So we make it easy for you guys. We supply all the suppliers on one easy screen. You can filter for brands, refrigerated items, OTCs, etc. And then hitting those minimums is challenging too. So we make it really easy. If you have multiple carts, but one of them hasn't quite hit the minimum, like you can see this one's at $8, you can actually swap that item to a different cart that is already at a minimum. And that way you only have to order with one secondary supplier instead of hitting all those different minimums, which also puts your compliance at risk. And then you can see at the top of the screen, it also shows your GPR and GCR in real time, which allows you to make intelligent decisions. And Athena is also only shopping drugs that you've dispensed. So she's going to take a look at items that are relevant to your pharmacy. She's going to show you if there is excess usage at risk. She can compare the prices for you in real time so you can see the best place to buy it. But really, it's about saving you time and not just letting secondaries call you and tell you about all their great deals, because they're always going to have great deals. But what if you don't need it? So Athena makes that easy.
Yeah, and that was something that really irritated me. And I would get phone calls nonstop. This is back, you can tell how long I've been in it. Our fax machines, it was so irritating because I would go order something, I'd find a bottle that was $50 off and I'd order 6 months supply of it, but then I would get a fax or an email or a phone call the next day and it would be the same item and it'd be $75 off. And that always irritated me because I just ordered 6 months of it. And so it was like, well, where is the cheapest item for me? Specifically catered towards my dispensing. The only way to know that is to use the data that you have and shop your data instead of just taking these random phone calls and things like that. And so while you're doing this, it is very easy to find profitability. There's no doubt. But at the same time, you need to take in consideration your rebates. You have to look at the aggregate of your primary vendor agreements. And I will tell you, being non-compliant does not make sense for the majority of, I'd say 98% of all pharmacies. There are certain stores where it does make sense, but 98% of the time, if you look at a primary vendor agreement, there are what we call rebate cliffs. These rebate cliffs are where once you drop below a certain KPI, and this may be GPR, BPR, GCR, there's all these different acronyms they come up with to basically measure your loyalty with that primary. Those rebate cliffs can be substantial. You're talking $10,000, $15,000 that you'll lose per month that if you slip off that cliff. And so we want to avoid those cliffs, make sure that you're healthy with your primary vendor agreement, but then still taking advantage of the secondary market at the same time. With pharmacy marketplace purchasing, we were able to yield about a 1-to-1 savings. So if I was spending on marketplace, I was spending about $1, I was actually making about $1. I've never seen that anywhere before. It was the easiest money we ever made in the pharmacy. And I used to go detail doctors and do self-compounding. And, I would go to church events and do all these different things to try to stimulate business. And going to the marketplace, it was the best 5 minutes I ever spent per month because I'd go make $2,000, $3,000 without question every time. And so it was the easiest way for me to make money for sure. And it was always product that I was actually dispensing as well. But on top of that, you need to balance your primary and your secondary spend, right? Because you may be spending too much on your secondary market, but you're not realizing that if you just shifted a few $1,000s back over to your primary, it could yield you more rebates than you would ever even get on the secondary market. And so balancing that spend and finding the sweet spot, like Chris was talking about, is crucial to be able to maximize your ROI on a month-to-month basis. And so then you need to monitor your choices and how they affect your rebates in real time. So this doesn't matter as much at the beginning of the month. It really matters mid and towards the end of the month. And so you need to know, where are you essentially? Do you need to go and order $1,000 more and you're going to get $1,000 in rebates? That's very possible. I've seen that. I've actually seen it where you spend $1,000 for the primary, you'll get $2,000 in rebates. It depends on how close you are to that cliff. It depends on where you're at in that tier. Everybody's a little different. We all have different primary vendor agreements. We all have different rebate cliffs. And so knowing where you're at with those KPIs will be the difference between you looking at an item and you're saying, oh, I'm going to make $50, or actually, I don't need to order that item at all. I can make $5,000 if I just order that item from my primary, and the aggregate of the rebates will actually yield me a much higher savings. So we've been doing this with about 1,000 pharmacies so far. And we're basing this off of a lot of below average pharmacies here. So my pharmacy was doing about 200 a day in prescriptions. We were saving anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month. So we're going pretty conservative with a lot of these numbers. We were preventing ourselves from losing about 10,000 in rebates. So really view it as like an insurance blanket, because we can prevent ourselves from hitting that rebate cliff, which about 50% of pharmacies in the network we've worked on, they will lose anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. And most of the time they'll lose it 1 or 2 months, maybe even 3. And so for us, we view it as about a $10,000 loss that we're preventing ourselves from hitting while still taking advantage of $2,000 to $3,000 in the secondary market in pure profit. Once we've done that, because a lot of times we're taking pharmacies that are spending maybe $5,000 on the secondary market, and we're telling them, hey, only spend $2,000 on the secondary market. That $3,000 is shipped back over to the primary because of your rebates. Maybe it's $2,000 that you're going to get back, and then the other $2,000 that you're spending with the secondaries, you need to spend it on these items. So a lot of people they'll chase every penny that they can, and they're saying, hey, I've got $2,000 I can spend on the secondary market. Let's look at that from a day-to-day perspective. In reality, I wouldn't look at it from a day-to-day. Look at it from what is going to yield you the highest return for what you're dispensing that month. So don't look at it from a day-to-day. Look at it from the aggregate of, this is what's going to actually yield me the highest return. This is what's going to do the most for me. So how we would do this, we typically order from Marketplace about once every 2 weeks. We have plenty of people that do it every day, which is fine. And so we really customize this to meet whatever need that you have. But basically, we would do this to where we'd say, all right, our $2,000 we're going to spend, we're going to do that in the first 5 minutes of the second day of the month. And we're going to go ahead and maximize all the items that have the deepest discounts. And then we would only order items from that point forward if our primary just didn't have it for whatever reason. And so a lot of these stores that we were doing this for, we were showing them that if you shift that primary purchasing back over to the primary, it'll be more beneficial for you in the aggregate, which has correlated to about a 2.93% GCR increase, which we don't have this metric on here, but it's about a 9% GPR increase as well. And the annualized savings for this is anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000. So these are real dollars. You can absolutely go get them every day. They're there. But where are you spending your time to actually utilize those returns matters. That's the difference between you doing it or not.
So you guys heard a little bit about Hinkle Pharmacy and their journey, but here's another one of our customers and a good friend of mine, Sadakad. He actually is in my hometown and he takes care of my family, my parents. He spent years as the pick at Walgreens doing 1,000 a day. Decided, hey, I'm not getting the opportunity to counsel customers and interact like I want to. Has a great personality, was fit for independent pharmacy. So he patiently waited until the building next door actually went under construction and put his drugstore right next to that Walgreens. And now there is a sign with his face on it facing that Walgreens drive-through. And he has been in business about, I think it's been about 6, 7 years now, and is doing great. But he was, dealing with this challenge. Obviously, I was his McKesson rep and but good friend, and he just kept coming and saying, "Hey, I'm really having trouble managing this myself." And then we got him on Pharmacy Marketplace, and now he's kind of our poster child because he was right under that rebate cliff of essentially 90%. And he shifted those purchases back, and him and his staff are able to monitor, it every month. And really it's taken the heartache and really helped the relationship that he's had with his primary wholesaler. And then it's also cut down on all those calls from the secondary suppliers and all the searching. So now his staff's able to reallocate that time back to doing the things within the community. So, this is one of many stores that are seeing the benefits of really being able to manage this through technology.
Yeah, and I know Saad personally as well, and he had a very unique situation where it was only a couple $1,000s. It was exactly what we were just talking about, and he was losing thousands of dollars on the table in the aggregate, and he just didn't realize it. So he only had to move a few thousand over, and it yielded him way more than what he was going to spend to even do that. And so this is something. You don't have to have an IT team to be able to do this. This is not something that requires, computer engineers. We've already done all that for you, because that was our whole purpose, was to automate it for our store. We really did this to make our store more efficient as possible. And now we've built a platform to where our staff can use it, your staff can use it, and your workflow will become optimized, because you're not having to sit there and log into all these different websites and figure out who has the cheapest price. Exactly what I was just saying earlier. It tells you which ones you need to actually go through and actually look at, versus, spending all that time, which if you're really shopping, you're probably spending you're probably spending 2-3 minutes per product, and you're doing that, 40, 50, 60 times a day. You could spend way less time and not have to deal with any of that. And you can come to one centralized location. And so optimizing your purchasing workflow is crucial. It's one of those hidden expenses that you don't even realize that you endure because you just get in this habit formation of how you do things. You don't have to do it anymore. The shopping will be done for you. And so a lot of people will use spreadsheets to be able to do this, but it's very tedious. It's going to take a lot of time for you. You don't have to do it. It's done for you. Athena will tell you which items you need to order from which wholesaler, help you hit minimums to be able to make those orders, instead of you having to grab like a random measurable dose pack or a azithromycin or something like that and order, 10, 20 boxes of it to hit minimums. You can literally click a button like Nicolette showed earlier that will help you isolate which items from that particular wholesaler are going to yield you the highest return for that particular wholesaler for what you're dispensing. So you're taking an analytical approach to this. You're not just guessing of what you need to, overstock your shelves with. You're taking something that's actually going to yield you real returns. And your staff. So this is something that we do. We typically always do these demonstrations. We show the demo account and we show you kind of what is possible. But then to show you what's real, we take your data. So we get you signed up, we get your data in the system, and we say, here is what can actually yield returns for you. Because we can say this all day long, oh, you're going to save $2,000, $3,000, but it becomes real when we put your data in there and you go, wow, I can make 3, 4. Actually, what they showed me was way less. I do 300 a day and it's double that. And so when you can actually see, I can make $3,000, $4,000 a month with this, that's what we train you on. We show you, here's what your data looks like. Here are the products that you can make the most money on. And we show you in a very quick manner because we built this the way that we think, right? We built this because I've had to go through all these different situations as far as what we have to think about. Oh, is this a source contract item or is it not? Or what's the real aggregate here, et cetera. We've built that into the platform so that you can make it easily digestible for the staff. They get trained on your actual data and they go through how to make this work. And in addition to that, if you ever have any questions or anything like that, we're always here for you. We understand independent pharmacy is keen on service. We are the exact same way. So we're not one of these technology platforms that's going to say, see you later, you're in the queue. We're the exact opposite of that. We listen to everything as far as feedback. Some of our best features that have come from this platform is from the community. And so I think the way that I think, but you may actually have something different. So we're always open to feedback, and maybe there's some more information that we could put on the screen to make things better. So we really learn a lot of that during training sessions. It's like, oh, I would really like to see the AWP or the WAC or whatever the case is. We listen to all of that. So all the messages that you're sending us is heard, and we are going to listen to everything that you have to say. But we really keen on training this so that you can make this effective in your actual store. And so we kind of touched on this, but as far as like the time savings, this is kind of different per pharmacy because you may have a certain purchasing technician that is doing this, or maybe you have a PIC that's doing this, et cetera. So these cost savings vary. I would definitely argue that's more than 15 hours a month that you can save from this. It just all depends on how heavily you're shopping the secondary market. I mean, it takes a lot of time, right? Like you're having to log on all these different places, the faxes, the emails, the answering the sales reps calls, things like that. We cut all of that out. We started telling all of our technicians, or start telling all the sales reps that were calling us, they're like, if you're not on Pharmacy Marketplace, we're not dealing with you. And we hear that from our customers all the time because you don't want to deal with, you already got enough problems. You don't want to deal with sales rep problems or anything like that. And so we basically say, if you're not on there and you're not being compared, we're not dealing with you. And that has correlated to a tremendous amount of time that we save on our actual purchasing per day. And so that correlates to anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000. And you could say, I'm not going to fire that person, but reallocate their time towards something that's actually meaningful, like, gaining new business or detailing doctors, or maybe it's just something internally with the actual pharmacy, et cetera. Like, it is time utilized that you can free up for other things that will yield exponential returns.
Yeah, and how much time does your staff spend, chasing down orders, getting tracking information, working on audits, sending that audit information out to all the different secondary wholesalers? Pharmacy Marketplace's support team will actually handle all that for you. So anything you need, we kind of act like your personal assistant. You send us that audit request, we'll send that to all of our wholesale partners. We try to take care of you and take that stuff off your plate so you can focus on your patients.
Yep.
All right, guys. Any good math teacher will always ask you to show your work to get credit on the exam, right? So, if we remember the title of this webinar, it was how pharmacy, found $50,000 in profit, and now they're dedicated to helping you. So here's our work: cost of goods saving reduction. Hinkle Pharmacy was able to find about $30,000 in annual savings using the buffer sourcing from the secondary market where they had the opportunity. So that's finding the right item at the right price at the right time, right? So using technology in your store's data set to be able to identify the savings. Now, that also takes into consideration the rebate protections. Those rebate cliffs are detrimental to drugstore profit. Once you fall off of one of those once or twice in a year, that really makes everything counterintuitive. All the energy time that you dedicated to finding the best gross profit option, now you've just shot yourself in the foot. So they were able to maintain that rebate protection of about $10,000. And then Wade just went through the payroll aspect of reallocating that time to other initiatives, whether it be marketing, clinical services, or whatnot. So just taking that payroll savings of about 10 grand back into consideration, now you found that $50,000. And what you're going to get when you join Pharmacy Marketplace is just a whole lot of hand-holding and value, right? So outside of the cost of goods protection and savings, we have the secondary supplier onboarding. So streamlining that process, making it where you're not having to spend hours and hours tracking down information, filling out different onboarding forms and whatnot. We take care of that for you. We also have a inventory coach that can have a one-on-one consultation with you to kind of see what your current inventory system is. Are you on perpetual? Are you not? How many turns you're getting per year? What's your cash flow look like? Could it be better? So that's a one-on-one consultation. If you were to hire a third-party company to do that they're probably going to charge you $2,500. So you're getting that when you are joining on with Pharmacy Marketplace. Also, we want to set you up for success up front with a compliance coaching call. So once you're trained on the dashboard and how to utilize it, we have a dedicated individual that's going to help you look for that sweet spot and optimize the agreement and really know that you and your staff can be confident in using the platform, because we all know there's plenty of good ideas out there, but if you and your staff don't feel confident in utilizing it within workflow, that's just burning money and you end up not using it and you canceling it. So what we want to do is have a one-on-one coaching session and kind of help you find that sweet spot. So once again, if you were to hire a third-party consultant, they're probably going to charge you $2,500. Then at the end of it, marketplace access. So having a subscription to our platform with the ROI that we've showed you, most companies would charge around $5,000 annually. Our monthly subscription is down to about $300 a month. So, obviously we went through some of the very broad level information about the technology, but really until we can go one-on-one and answer questions that are personal to your pharmacy and customized to your pharmacy management system, wholesaler situation, we want to talk to you. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one demo, you can scan this QR code. You can also go on our website at pharmacymarketplace.com/demo and sign up. And if you do that within a couple of days, we want to give you guys a couple of assets that really will help you and your staff. The first one is a wholesaler questionnaire checklist. So any good relationship starts with good proactive communication to set expectations, right? So what this is, it's just general information that you would give your suppliers to get, like, hey, here are the point of contacts, here's what to expect on delivery, different programs that you're offering. Really, it's not a gotcha list. It is just something that you and your staff could use in the pharmacy, so you're not constantly chasing down information. It's a time saver, and it really sets that relationship up for success. The second one is a free ebook that we design on 5 ways to get your pharmacy organized and flip your pharmacy profit. So essentially, these are just best practices that we found that really do a great job of, um, you know, if you initiate this, it's going to be the difference in you barely surviving or thriving in modern community pharmacy. So some of these are companies that we've seen just be successful in helping drugstores. And really, I think this is a huge asset. So if you all sign up for a demo with us, we'll send this out to you.
Yeah, and if you guys all have any questions right now, we have some extra time, so feel free to post them in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. Looks like we have a question. Do you try to control what buying groups or wholesalers I work with?
So no, not at all. Our goal is to be market agnostic. Essentially, we are a data analytics company, a technology company, and there are plenty great options out there. What we find is a lot of times where the relationship breaks down is when you agree to something and you're confused about the incentives around that structure of that wholesaler or buying group arrangement. So our goal would be to help you align your habits with whatever arrangement you're in and really be neutral. We're not a cost of goods consultant or advisor telling you, well, you need to use this program or this program. Really, what we're going to do is whatever you do decide to do, we're going to help you understand the rules.
Yeah, it's a game. You got to know the rules if you want to play it the right way. And so, whatever situation you're in, we're going to help you maximize that.
Okay. What if I'm already using another platform for purchasing? I think it will be easy for you to transition to Pharmacy Marketplace because if platform purchasing is already part of your daily workflow, you'll be a really easy candidate to get signed up and trained. So that sounds ideal, and you should scan this QR code and book a demo.
Yeah, come see the difference.
Yeah. And let us know. Give us feedback too. If there's something that somebody else is doing that you really enjoy that we're not doing yet, let us know. Like Wade said earlier, we're always taking, our customer feedback into account to shape the product for you all.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's see. What data or information would you need from pharmacies? I can answer that. We would need your basic pharmacy information, so your address, your NPI, your DEA, and then we would need a copy of your state board of pharmacy license and your DEA license. And then, like Wade said earlier, you type in all the information one time, and then it maps it to all of the different wholesaler applications. So then once all those are generated, you just have to click one button to sign it. It's very easy.
Yeah, to kind of expand on that, Nate, we need your information to be able to sign you up for these wholesalers. If you want to, you can tell us, no, we don't want to sign up for them, et cetera. We need the basic information to be able to get their catalogs so that you can do the comparisons, or really for Athena to do the comparisons and for you to be able to see the results. And we need your dispensing as well on top of that to be able to do it in an automated fashion. So we would hook up an API with your actual dispensing records and to be able to digest those to give you intuitive answers. And basically, we need an API with your primary to be able to do those comparisons as well. So we can do the comparisons to the secondaries very easily, assuming that you sign up for them. And on top of that, yeah, we get the API with your dispensing, and then we have your invoices. We can keep up your compliance too. So there's quite a bit there. But as far as like registering, if you know your information, it takes 15, 20 minutes for you to be able to do, and then you can take it from there, and we'll show you how to really maximize it.
Looks like we have another question. What would you consider major differences to the sure cost model?
I would say the major difference is we're really focusing on the aggregate. We're looking at the big picture and trying to tell you not necessarily where are the cheapest items. We're showing you when you need to stop. So that could be detrimental to your ROI. And that's something a lot of the platforms, not even just sure cost, I'd say really all of the platforms are missing at this point, is they're not considering how does this affect my ROI from an aggregate perspective. And so we don't really care about secondary purchasing at all. We want you to make whatever decision is the best for you. And we want you to understand how that's going to impact your primary vendor agreement. And so we're really focusing on what is the aggregate, because again, it goes back to the same analogy that I was talking about. You may be looking at a $50 savings, but it's going to cost you $5,000 in rebates. It's not a $50 savings at all, right? So we're really trying to home in on how does this affect me in long-term situations versus short-term? And that's our big differential, is we're looking at the big picture.
Yeah, I'll expand on that. I think supply chain economics of drug wholesale is very complicated. Um, and really how all the pieces have to fit together. In the past, I think, especially in my situation with a primary wholesaler, it just always seemed to be a very combative situation where someone had to lose and somebody had to win, right? And there wasn't a lot of trust and collaboration. But with this technology and what we're trying to do is make sure that every piece of the supply chain is healthy enough to be willing to deal with the other pieces. And that's the primary, the secondary, the buying group, the pharmacy. Everybody needs to find the balance because they're very important cogs within the drug supply chain. And some of the other situations and platforms really don't look at that overall picture, right? And if somebody gets burned in this model and they pull out, the other entities are impacted drastically, and they don't really realize like the impact that it will have. So what we've done is we've brought in experts from each one of these supply chain partners into our team, and now we're designing this framework and enhancing our software really to take that into consideration.
Yeah, I would say on top of that, the other platforms want to sell you stuff. We don't care if you buy stuff. We want you to do whatever is the situation that's going to yield you the highest return. I mean, that's it. You just need to figure out, should you actually buy it or not? That is the ultimate question. And that's what we're trying to maximize, is make it one easy, because you're probably not actually doing it. It's going to be your staff doing it. And so we want to make that decision very easy for your staff to be able to do. And that's where the convoluted profitability is. And you just have to figure out, should you or should you not, but it needs to be transparent to you. And that's where a lot of the other platforms are coming up short.
All right, we have one more question. And you guys analyze this daily, weekly, monthly, because purchasing can change? Yes, we analyze catalogs from all of the wholesalers daily, and your dispensing data daily as well. Say 1 month secondary purchases could have definitive line of 2 gram, but maybe next month it could be 4. Yeah, you're correct with that thinking. We're always looking back at the prior 3 months or 6 months, whatever. Wade, you can expand on that a little bit. But yes, we're always looking at your data in real time.
Yeah, so it's on a daily basis, because as you guys know, like, you dispense something or you purchase something, these metrics change. So you need to know what is happening. What decision do I need to make based on what's happened in the past? Or really, you need to know, as you add something to the cart, where is it going to take those metrics? And that's what we keep up with in Pharmacy Marketplace. We're keeping up with your GCR, your GPR, your BPR, all these different things. And we're showing you, like, hey, if you order this item over here, you're leaving money on the table. And you can see that very clearly in the platform as you're actually adding product to the cart. So we're doing whatever your current, GCR is today. When you add it to the cart, what does it go to? Does it get you past that metric? And that's what really matters, because you can chase these numbers all day long, but if you can't actually get there, then it doesn't matter at all, right? So you need to know, how is it going to impact the metrics. That's what's so different about Pharmacy Marketplace, is we're showing you how your decisions will impact your overall aggregate KPIs. And we try to show you basically all the different rebates that are implicated in those decisions so that you can make the right decision inevitably.
Yeah. And Nate asked, how do you guys analyze it? Do you connect to my pharmacy management system? Yes, we connect to your pharmacy management system before you're even activated to log into our website. So whenever you onboard with us and you fill out all that paperwork one time, we take about 7 days to get everything set up for you. So when you log into the website, all of your dispensing data is there, all of your catalogs are there, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, that's right. It's on a day-to-day basis. It depends on your pharmacy management system, but some of these are actually updated per minute. So we can, I mean, it's pretty incredible what's happening on the back end. It's the stuff that you guys don't see. But as these catalogs come in, we're readjusting all the different cost savings and the product availability, et cetera, as catalogs come in. So we try to make it as easy as possible, right? We have a 99.3% success ratio with the orders, because we've taken that to a completely new level as far as trying to make sure that we can order the product that we actually need.
Yep. And then we had another question. Roughly, what is the monthly cost for using Pharmacy Marketplace? It's $300 a month. Yeah. Which, again, compared to losing your rebate once in a year, it's pretty reasonable.
And to expand on that, we are working with some of the buying groups that are really, they want you to succeed and they want you to follow the rules to their buying arrangements. So certain relationships, if you're want us to speak to your group, we'd be glad to. Others we have an existing relationship with. So that's a great reason to reach out and set up a demo.
All right, guys, if there are no more questions, thank you all for your time. Again, please feel free to scan this QR code and book a demo with us. If you have any additional questions, you're welcome to reach out to us. You can call us or you can email us at support@pharmacymarketplace.com. We are happy to help. So thank you all for your time and have a wonderful week.
Thank you all.